So, Canto 6, Chapter 16, King Chitraketu meets the Lord. Today's verse is there on the board, number 8. Please repeat. Evam yonigato jivaha sa Nityo nirahankritaha yavad yatro palabhyeta tavat swatvam hi tasya tat evam yoni gato jivaha sa nityo nirahankritaha Yavad yatro phalabhyeta Tavad sattvam hi tasyatat Evam yogi gato jivaha Sa nityo nirahankritaha Yavad yatro phalabhyeta Tavad swatvam hi tasyatvat. Please repeat. Evam, thus. Yonigataha, being within specific species of life. Jivaha, the living entity. Saha, he. Nityaha, eternal. Nirahankritaha, without identification with the body. Yavat, as long as. Yatra, where. Upalabhyeta, he may be found. Tavat, that long. Swatvam, the concept of self. He, indeed. Tasya, of him. Tat, that. Translation, Srila Prabhupada. Even though one living entity becomes connected with another because of a relationship based on bodies that are perishable, the living entity is eternal. Actually, it is the body that is born or lost, not the living entity. One should not accept that the living entity takes birth or dies. The living entity the living being actually has no relationship with so-called fathers and mothers. As long as he appears as the son of a certain father and mother, as a result of his past fruitive activities, he has a connection with the body given by that father and mother. Thus, he falsely accepts himself as their son and acts affectionately. After he dies, however, the relationship is finished. Under these circumstances, one should not be falsely involved with jubilation and lamentation. Please repeat. Even though one living entity becomes connected with another because of a relationship based on bodies that are perishable, the living entity is eternal. Actually, it is the body that is born or lost, not the living entity. One should not accept that the living entity takes birth or dies. The living being actually has no relationship with so-called fathers and mothers. As long as he appears as a son of a certain father and mother, as a result of his past fruitive activities, he has a connection with the body given by that father and mother. Thus he falsely accepts himself as their son and acts affectionately. After he dies, however, the relationship is finished. Under these circumstances, one should not be falsely involved with jubilation and lamentation. Purport Srila Prabhupada. When the living entity lives within the material body, he falsely thinks that he is the body, although he is actually not. His relationship with his body and his so-called father and mother are false, illusory conceptions. These illusions continue as long as one is not enlightened about the situation of the living entity. Makam karoti vachalam pangam laite girim yad kripa tamaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. Evam yoni gato jivaha sa nityo nirahankritaha yavad yatro phalam bhyeta tavat swatam hi tasyatat. Even though one living entity becomes connected with another because of a relationship based on bodies that are perishable, the living entity is eternal. Actually, it is the body that is born or lost, not the living entity. One should not accept that the living entity takes birth or dies. The living being actually has no relationship with so-called fathers and mothers. As long as he appears as the son of a certain father and mother as a result of his past fruitive activities, he has a connection with the body given by that father and mother. Thus he falsely accepts himself as their son and acts affectionately. After he dies, however, the relationship is finished. Under these circumstances, one should not be falsely involved with jubilation and lamentation. Yes, so King Chitraketu meets the Lord. So at the end of this, towards the end of this chapter, Narada Muni gives Chitraketu Maharaj a mantra by which he attains darshan of the Supreme Lord. So now he's fertile ground for endeavoring in the spiritual direction. The spiritual direction is difficult to apply to if one is very materially attached. One has hopes to enjoy this world and he disregards the lamentation. He thinks I'll become jubilant. But they're brother and sister, jubilation and lamentation. Soshati nakangshiti. So he endeavors for happiness. But here the lamentation is very arduous. It is crushing his enjoying spirit. So King Chitraketu is fertile ground for the seed of devotion. The material energy is made in that way with two functions in regard to the individual living entity. It is meant to give him the sense of separate independent existence which he cherishes. He wants to be separate and enjoy a program apart from the Supreme Lord. But also out of the mercy of the Lord, it is also a frustrating place. It is naturally inbuilt because we are spirit souls and we cannot enjoy matter except in an imaginary, illusory sense. Nor can we get endless enjoyment. Lord Chaitanya has said, Anandam Vardhanam, what is that? Pratipurnam Punamritas Vardhanam, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. That the spiritual platform is one of ever-increasing, unending happiness. If you actually follow regulative principles, follow sadhana bhakti with sincerity, situated in knowledge, then you will touch the spiritual platform and you will get the taste for which everyone is anxious. But we're looking in the wrong direction. In the temporary world, we take 1 sweetmeat, very nice, 2, very good, 3, no thank you. It is a limited function, enjoyment, and it is external to the soul. It is an ephemeral titillation of the senses, interpreted by the mind as enjoyment. Just like a deer in the desert sees a mirage and thinks, oh, how wonderful, water is there. Let me run quickly to the oasis. But the oasis always retreats. The mirage is never attained. So Chitraketu has not learned the easy way through intelligence and shastric understanding. He's learned the hard way. One way or another, the effect is the same. We come to the understanding that the material world is ahankara, anatha. We heard about anatha nivritti, right? Well, the whole material world and material energy is anatha, unwanted. The transcendentalist pays attention to spirit. The beginning of the Bhagavatam, Paramo Nimacharanam Satam, 2nd verse. It is written there that the Bhagavatam is for that person who is sifting the milk from the water. This material world is a mixture of matter and spirit. You have the consciousness of the living entities and you have matter. The foolish person, without knowledge, pays attention to matter and endeavors to enjoy it. And then he enters a field of envy, rivalry with his peer group. He denigrates those he considers below him, and he becomes envious of those he considers higher to him. He lives in a world of friends and enemies, duality, good and bad, and then he goes to hell under the control of his fruitive activities. Whether it is Swargaloka or Narak, it is still hell, because compared to the transcendental platform, it is simply a dream of happiness. We don't want to spend our life dreaming our existence. We have to wake up. So mantra, mind, transports. An actual mantra is composed of the names of the Supreme Lord. Namani Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. And by meditating with devotion, according to the rules and regulations of sadhana, situated in knowledge of the goal of a mantra, one can transport the consciousness to the transcendental platform. And once that attachment is there, then one can enter the spiritual world and overcome envy. Now, those that are without insight may interpret this section of the Bhagavatam, King Chitraketu, lamentation, trying to have a son, the co-wives had killed the son out of jealousy, out of envy. They may interpret this as being against family life. No. Those with insight will understand that what is being criticized here is material attachment. That's what's being evaluated. Narada Muni is known as the great brahmachari, right? He got into a lot of trouble with his father, Lord Brahma, for telling so many brahmacharis, oh, don't take to Prajapati life, become renounced. It didn't please Lord Brahma or the other Prajapatis, who's always getting in trouble with Daksha and so on and so forth. But who is he in Chaitanya Leela? He's a grihasta. Right? Something to contemplate. So do not consider that married life is anartha. What is anartha is material attachment. Sava upari vinir muktam tat paratena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti uchite. The upadis, the designation as it is stated right in the beginning here, the identification with the body is the source of all our material attachments. Aham mameti, I am this body. It is moha. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago I explained? Tamashra, the living entity, rebels against the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. Then, next stage is under Tamishra. After that, he loses spiritual identification. Then tamas, he becomes materially identifying. He starts to think, I'm a material product. He loses his conception of self-spirituality. Then he enters moha. And from this illusion comes aham. I am a material product, I am this body. And mameti, those things that are related to this body are mine. And then he enters mahamoha, the 5 coverings, 5th covering. He becomes bewildered by the fruitive reactions. So ahankara is this material identification. In this material world, people think, I'm the body. The body is the self. Those that are a little bit more subtle, they may think that the mind is me. And I'm part, and those that have no knowledge of spirituality, they may think that I'm part of the universal mind. Right? You know, this kind of New Age conception. Oh, yes, I'm not the body, I'm the mind, and I'm the great mind. No, the soul and the body are different. So if we want to realize spirit, we have to realize, can just see in front of us the consciousness of the living entities. We have to focus on the living entities as conscious beings, not in terms of their body. Man, woman, good, bad, fat, ugly, attractive, my friend, my enemy. From my locality, Dvija Bomadi, he's from my holy place. No, we have to see them as the Supreme Lord's expansions. Remember, we explained this, Bhakti-yoga chapter 3rd from the end of the 11th canto. Krishna sums up his instructions to Uddhava from 7th chapter of 11th canto to the 29th by saying that Uddhava, you should see the living entity and myself particularly situated within all bodies, within the tree, within the dog, the camel, the ass, the human being. Jai. Shri Shri Gaunitai Krishna Balaram Radhasham Sundar Lilit Vishaka Gomata Tulsi Maharani Giri Govardhan Shalagram Maharaja Ki. You should see them all as my expansions with me there. I'm present in 2 ways. There's that verse in the Svatashvara Upanishad, right at the beginning. 2 birds are living in the tree of the body. One is observing the other bird who is trying to enjoy the fruits of the tree, trying to enjoy the senses of the body. So, Uddhava, with this in mind, offer your obeisances to all living entities. Then you'll realize spirit. But if you're still on the bodily platform, friends and enemies, then you're still in the material pool of envy. You'll make friends and enemies on the basis of the body. And then you'll remain in the material world. In the spiritual world, everyone is non-envious. Think of it that way. In the material world, everyone is envious. Individually and collectively, they are competing and combining to enjoy this material world. Hitler wanted to enjoy the material world in this way. Eisenhower wanted to enjoy it in that way. Stalin wants to enjoy it in that way. And there's a gigantic conflagration. And nobody's enjoying at all. All because paying attention to matter instead of spirit. So, that is the secret of life, to look to spirit. So it is not marriage. Actually, in the Bhagavatam, it is stated very clearly that the wife should look upon the husband body as a boat by which she can cross the ocean of material suffering, and the husband should look upon the wife's body as a boat by which he can cross the ocean. Chanika Pandit says the best friend of the husband is the wife, and vice versa. The best friend of the wife is the husband. But that means that they are combining for the purpose of spiritual realization. Therefore, guidelines are given. If you remember, 18 months ago we were studying Prithu Maharaj, and those guidelines were there in the purports. If you remember, the husband should protect, maintain and guide the wife materially and spiritually. You can remember those three. They're the basic things Prabhupada said. It's also in the text. And the wife should have faith in the husband. That means the husband should act in such a way that she is faithful. Faithful not in the sense of chastity, but he should act in such a way that she is inspired by his shelter. Then the wife should be chaste to the husband, and then she should defer, and may I even dare say, she should be obedient to the guidance of the husband. But that guidance should be of love and from a spiritual platform. So protection, maintenance, guidance, the husband's duty, and faithfulness, chastity, and obedience, and deference by the wife. They're the guidelines. And if they combine together, then marriage life is wonderful. If people give up sex life and become mad, often brahmachari sannyasis are thinking more about sex life than grihastas. Just like a starving man thinks about food more than somebody with a full belly. So the Romans had a saying, whom the gods will destroy, they first make mad. So if you can do without sex life, good, because then you are situated in transcendence. But if you can't, then get married. And in a regulated way, have children, bring them up Krishna conscious. Advaita Acharya, he is Shankishan, that is whom Chitraketu will realize through the mantra given by Narada Muni. He is Shankishan. Srivas Pandit in the Panchatattva, he is Narada Muni. So it is material attachment that is the enemy. And it is that which is propelling us into the material world. So we have to become attached. We should become attached to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. We should understand the Shastra. Therefore we should become situated in knowledge of Shastric conclusion. We should gather Siddhanta very assiduously. We should live by it. But knowledge can only take you can take you to the doorstep of bhakti, but loyalam, desire, hankering, right? Instead of hankering for material enjoyment, we don't say stop that, we say hanker for the transcendental service. Therefore we chant, but not to enjoy the mantra, but to give pleasure to Krishna, to give pleasure to Krishna Balaram, to Radhasham Sundar, to Gaur Nitai. We perform service for their pleasure. That is Seva Bhav. In this material world, we want to serve ourselves through others. Actually, in that regard, there's a very interesting section. Excuse me, my voice is very rough today. In the Mahabharata, once in Dwarka, Satyabhama was sitting with the wife of the Pandavas, Draupadi. The girls were all sitting together, having a chat. Not praising each other like men do, but discussing the emotional niceties of life. So Satyabhama, who's Radharani's expansion in Vrindavan, from Vrindavan into Dwarka, she said something to Draupadi. Draupadi was there in the palace of the Pandavas. Sorry, no, it was in the Pandavas' palace. And she said, Draupadi, I see that you've got these 5 big warriors well under control. You've got Yudhisthira Maharaj there, the great king. Everyone is bowing down to him, carrying his order. Not under threat because they loved him. He was concerned for them. You've got Bhima, who can lift mountains, pull trees out like toothpicks. Then you've got Arjuna, noble and valiant, carrying the message of Krishna as his only shield. And then you've got Sahadev. His wisdom and applied knowledge and intelligence is second to none. Then you have Nakula, who controls horses just by thought and is also a reservoir of understanding and knowledge. And they are just very attentive. How are you doing it, Draupadi? So Draupadi said, she said, are you using some mantra? Do you have some special perfume? Some special charm? Some herbs? What's going on? Of course, Satyabhama has got Krishna under control also, but that's another thing. But because that's often, anyway, we won't talk about what women talk about. So what did Draupadi say? No, nothing like that. Any wife that uses charms and herbs and spells on the husband, she's not the wife, she's the enemy. She's the enemy in the house. It's very simple what I do. I serve them personally and without reservation. When they come from the forest, when they come from their military maneuvers and practice, I meet them at the door. If they're thirsty, I personally drink water. I bring water for them. When they're hungry, I go to the kitchen and I supervise and I bring the foodstuffs for them. I see that when they want to sit quietly out of tiredness, I don't speak. When they want to talk, when they want to have some repartee, I'm ready to talk with them. I'm always attentive to their moods and needs. And therefore, they are attentive to me. But I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it out of love. So they're in the Mahabharata, they're in the Bhagavatam, they're in the stories of the Charya, in the Leela of it is not married life that is the danger, it is the material attachment, it is a lack of Seva Bhav. Now in Kali Yuga, everybody is being trained to be selfish. I'm number one. I want to stand on the podium and get the gold medal. And Kali is arranging that the women fight the men. Feminism. What is that? It is only cultural Marxism. Who is Karl Marx? Marx and Engels, they are a pair of nasty, horrible people who said there's no God and everything is one. Women are the same as men, the student is the same as the teacher is the same as the farmer, it's all one. We should all dress properly. And attachment to the wife and the family, that is all just petit bourgeois. They are the agents of Kali, and they're destroying human society. Actually, in the Vedic system, it is very clear, recommended, the roles of man, woman, child, teacher, everything is given. Not out of some speculative envy, but as advice, so that everyone, man, woman and child, the trees, the birds, the animals, the reptiles, can all progress spiritually. Vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. Vedanta, I am the goal of the Vedas, Krishna says. All the Vedic prescriptions are to bring the spirit soul to the realization of their relationship with the Supreme Lord, not this material body and these illusory conceptions that are enunciated in this verse. It is meant to develop save above to the Supreme Lord. That is the Vedic prescription. And it can be practiced in this life. It must be practiced in this life between the living entities who are on the spiritual path together. Here, let's examine this verse. Now, here you can understand here that there's only 4 lines of Sanskrit, and you were hearing the word for word, and Prabhupada has expanded that into a very big translation. You should understand, in the translation of Sanskrit, particularly the Shastra, by the great Uttamadhikaris and Paramahamsas, there's one form of translation called Bhava Anupad. That means you follow the bhava, the mood that is portrayed in the words. Those without bhava, without insight, those without Paramahamsa status, they should pay attention to this method of translation. The other is Vakyanupad, where you just literally translate the words. But words are meant to convey ideas and emotions. So the real translation of the Shastra, particularly a Rasa Shastra, such as the Srimad Bhagavatam, is to carry the emotional, spiritual, emotional, the bhava of the translation. The Srimad Bhagavatam, the central subject is without any karma or jnana, how to enjoy or how to merge or whatever. It is simply an elucidation of relationship between the Supreme Lord and the living entity. So the great acharyas, they have the right in their translations to, in fact, they see the necessity of bringing out that deeper meaning that is contained within the words. And therefore Prabhupada has expanded this verse very chastely to the original, but bringing out all the nuances. And that it means that grammar, vocabulary and syntax, that is the content of a language. So the syntax of the great words of the Acharya, that means the sentence construction, carries many implications and many poetic aspects. Therefore, they should not be edited by foolish people who think they know better than the Acharya. So here, just like the Brahma Samhita was edited personally. The Brahma Samhita that we have is actually translated by Professor Sangal, who was a student of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and his purports were expansions and illustrations of the commentary of Jiva Goswami on the Brahma Samhita. So Prabhupada personally said, and that was edited by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, the spiritual master, and he said, don't touch one word of this. And then there is the book written by Sri Chaitanya's teachings, written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, historic book, sent to McGill University, written personally. So who would edit that book? But written by such a great Paramahamsa. So hyperactive people without intelligence think that they can improve the words of the Acharya. Actually, in Sanskrit, if you study Sanskrit, there is an expression. It's called Acharya Prayog. Acharya Prayog means that sometimes, and you can go to the Vrindavan Institute and ask the Pandits there, they're very nice, where is there some Acharya Prayog? And they will show you in the writings of the leaves of Rupa Goswami, oh look, there's a spelling mistake there. Oh, that's not quite correct. But no one criticizes Rupa Goswami, because the Acharyas, in their ecstasy of revelation, they write. They're paying attention to the bhava, not the literal expression. So the way to read the Shastra, particularly the Rasa Shastra, is with that in mind, not with the critical idea. And therefore often in the verse you'll find that it says Brahman, and Krishna, Prabhupada translates that as Krishna, because Brahman means Krishna. And the whole Bhagavatam is the exposition of Krishna. So, even in the spiritual world there are mistakes, between miscommunications, apparently, between the devotees. Why? To churn the ocean of rasa. Just like when you play cards, there's a wild card that can mean anything. So it disturbs the game. We have in this material world a mechanical idea of perfection. It must run like a computer. Of course, even computers screw up. You have to reboot because you get a bad boot. You want to boot it for not booting properly. So that is something to consider. Perfection does not mean a mechanical, literal perfection. Perfection means that the bhava, the seva bhava of a devotee is never reduced, is never in question. The prem bhav is always existent, even though the acharya may misquote a verse, or he may, when he's chanting, not chant the complete mantra. Why? Because he's immersed in transcendental ecstasy. So we must approach with this insightful way, in the way when we see the behavior of the acharyas. Of course, the acharyas you will find by the grace of Krishna that they are so expert and so intelligent and so perfect in their understanding. And that is perfection, but not some external thing through our small minds, our own vision. Atmavan manyate jagat. We see according to our own limited vision, and we impose that. So this is very important, that we approach the Shastra and the great acharyas with great awe and reverence, not in a critical way, but with an open heart for the actual Siddhanta. There's also another story on this point in the Mahabharata, and that is, the Yudhisthira lost the dice game and he had to go to the forest for 13 years. So after 13 days, Bhima put on his war gear, and with Arjuna encouraged Arjuna and Nakula Sahadev. And they went in front of Yudhisthira Maharaj and he said, now we're ready to return. Yudhisthira said, what's that? We've only been here 13 days. And then Bhima said, but in the Shastra it says that in certain circumstances 1 day is equivalent to 1 year. So we've had 13 days, so now we're ready. They didn't catch us in the 13th year. We fulfilled the deal. Of course, Sakuni, right? He was cheating all the time. He had charmed eyes. But still Yudhisthira went along. Yudhisthira, no, that's not correct. He's son of Dharmaraj. He said, no, you don't go to the Shastra looking for something that you can interpret in accordance with your own desire, with your own program. You don't go to the Shastra like that. The Shastra is mother. The Vedas are mother. And you go to the mother asking the mother for instruction. You don't go to the mother and try to twist the mother and use the mother according to your program. She is the superior. This is also another point on feminism. They say, they're foolish, idiotic people, men and women should be equal. Now tell me, who is Namo Mahavadanyaya? That is Lord Chaitanya. Why is he the most merciful? Because he's in the mood of Srimati Radharani. When he's Krishna, he's less merciful than when he's in the mood of Srimati Radharani. When the child fall over and cut the knee, who does the child cry for? The father will say, pull yourself together, son. Be a man. Mummy will, oh, you poor little thing, come here, let me help you. So, these are all points to consider. The Vedic system is not built on who's up or down. The Vedic system is built on Sevabhav. So Yudhisthira Maharaj told, no Bhima, you can't do that. You can't go to the Shastra and then use it for your purpose. You must go to the Shastra with mood of service. So here we are talking about mothers and fathers. Yes. I think it's all clear. You're all learned devotees. This relationship with the body is illusory because it's temporary. It is factual. It is a factual experience. It is not as one form of Mayavadis think. It's all illusion. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. It's not happening. Oh, it's all a creation of your mind. Well then, put salt in your cup of tea instead of sugar. It's white, it's powder, it's all one. Feed yourself up your other end. It's all one. This is also, and so when this oneness, monism idea comes into philosophy, then you end up with cultural Marxism. Men and women are the same, and they should be the same. The child, this is all hellish mentality, and it is meant to degrade human society in a big amorphous mass where everyone is foolish and simply looking to the masters of the state. Save us, save us. The Messiah syndrome, right? Arjuna was told by Krishna, stand and fight. Spiritual life is not one of, oh mercy, give me an electric shock so I'm enlightened. No, spiritual life means to follow the order of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra very vigorously. It is proactive. It is not like the political rallies. All the balloons are flying in the air and the band is going, boo, 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 and I will help you, I will give you change. You will give me a vote and tax money, and we will live in heaven together. I am your Messiah. I have come to save you. And you are just obedient idiots. No, that is not the Vedic system. Vedic system is a nobility, faithfulness, seva bhav, strength of character. That is the Vedic system. We see that in the Pandavas. And here, what did Krishna tell Arjuna? You're talking like a non-Aryan. Oh, I can't fight because my uncle's over there. Here, Chitraketu, my son is dead. It's all illusion. Stand and fight. The mercy of the spiritual master is not an electric shock out of the ether. It is his instructions. That is the mercy. And Krishna, Prabhupada says in the Krishna book, he says, Krishna has unlimited qualities, but for the devotee, the aspirant, his mercy is the most important quality. And that mercy is manifest as his instructions. Tadvidi pratipatena sevaya. You get instructions from the Guru and then you serve them as your life and soul. That contains the mercy. Stand and fight. Do your duty. Here it is stated that the materialist is under the control of karma. Yes, they're just being bounced here and there, performing some activity, then getting a result, mahamoha, all immersed in this action and reaction. But the devotee is under kripa. Muksha yishyami. I will free you from your karma and I will put you under my shelter. And that shelter is manifest as the order of Guru. Regulative principles, studying the Shastra, chanting with sincerity. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And sometimes people ask, how can I get my Swarup? Your Swarup is there. It is dormant, however. Just like that tree is dormant within the seed. Everything is there. Everything is in your own hands. But you just have to awaken the seed with sunlight, with good nourishing foodstuffs, with good rain. The seed will awaken with faithfulness to Guru. Not running here and there to the imitationist Sahajiya Babas that have given these nonsense ideas. You have everything in your own hands. You have Ma Mantra. You have the great words of the great Acharya. You have the dust of Vrindavan. So, take advantage. Stand and fight. Be strong. Be noble. Don't become like this. I can't manage it. No, be strong. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you all very much. Any question? Or two? Yes?
Thank you very much. You said that when we chant that we shouldn't be thinking of how this will give us pleasure, but how it gives pleasure to Krishna. So how is it that when we're chanting the name of Krishna, that gives Krishna pleasure?
Well, it gives Radharani pleasure. That's why we say Hare Krishna rather than Radhe Radhe. Of course, that's okay. It's Radharani. But we chant Hare Krishna. Why? Because that pleases Radharani. So when Radharani sees that we are confirmed, that we are immersed in Seva Bhav, she takes us as one of her own. She is full, like I explained, full of Seva Bhav. So when we serve with a Seva Bhav to Guru and Krishna, then Radharani thinks, that's one of my people. But when we go to Krishna to enjoy, then we're neophyte. Then we haven't understood bhakti. Think, I'm going to enjoy Krishna, just like I've been trying to enjoy the material world. We're still selfish. We haven't had the change of heart. Who is the ultimate Guru? Srimati Radharani. By the grace of Guru you get Krishna. But that means you get the service of Krishna. If you serve somebody, they reveal themselves, do they not? If I become your friend and I'm attentive to your needs, then you'll tell me how you think about things, will you not? Right? It's said that when a thief looks at a saint, they only see the pocket. So we shouldn't go to Krishna like that. Oh, Krishna, you're full of bliss. I want to be full of bliss. No, we should go to Krishna and say, how can I please you, Krishna? Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ushite. We are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, just like these fingers, these hands, this voice. They're part and parcel of this body. They're all meant to serve this body. So as long as we're trying with this enjoying spirit, then Krishna may give us a little, but it'll be superficial. And the attachment with that. Just like Daruka, everyone knows, it's in the Nectar of Devotion. He was fanning the Supreme Lord. But he was feeling such ecstasy fanning Krishna that he was getting Astaka Bhav. He cursed it, away with this. It's interfering with my service. So we're not searching for happiness, we're searching for the service. And then Radharani will say, come this side. Look, Krishna, I have a nice devotee here. You understand? Seva Bhav, Sevaya, Tadvidi Pratipatena, Pariprashnena Sevaya, Upadeksanti, Te Jnanam, Jnanena Stattvadashi. You want Sevaya. This is the mood of service. That's the whole material world. We serve ourselves. I'm number one. No, you're a fool and a rascal. Serve Krishna. Madhyaji, manmana bhava madhyakto, madhyaji. Do everything as an offering to me. You don't have to do a big thing. You can just give a little leaf or a flower to Krishna, he'll be happy. Radharani will be very impressed. She's non-envious. In this material world we see somebody serving, they're going to take my position. No, Radharani is not thinking like that. She says, Krishna, these devotees are better than me. It's the non-envious world. We have to contemplate the import of the Shastra and try to have a conception of the transcendental abode. Mam namaskuru. And offer our obeisances to that transcendental world and beg for it to be understood in our devotional service. And it begins, Jivera Swarupai, Jivera Nichera Krishnadas. That is the Swarup. We're not enjoyers. And we enjoy, that's a side effect. That's not very important. Just like the fish in the ocean. It doesn't think water's important. The whole spiritual world is an ocean of ecstasy. Nobody's wondering, well, how will I become happy? The fish is in the water. He takes the water for granted. But we're so miserable in this world, we're sometimes motivated. And therefore the advertisements are there. Come to this restaurant, you'll get anand, you'll get this, you'll get that. No, through Seva Bhav, by following the order of Guru, particularly, we can improve our Seva Bhav. Service is the end in itself. So, thank you all very much. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Sadhu Sangha Srimad Bhagavatam Srila Prabhupada ki jai.